It's funny how we think we know how the world works until someone shows us the actual math. My son Noah comes home from 10th grade the other day, and he is convinced that there is absolutely zero gravity in space. He says, "Dad, did you see that video of the astronauts floating? Mr. Henderson says it's because they're finally free from Earth's pull." I just had to set down my soldering iron. I'm an aerospace technician. I spend my days building components for satellites that stay in orbit specifically because gravity is holding on to them, I told him. Buddy, if there was no gravity up there, the moon would just fly away into the dark, and the International Space Station would be halfway to Mars by now. He looks at me totally skeptical. But Mr. Henderson said space is a vacuum of weightlessness. He said gravity just stops once you leave the atmosphere. Well, Tuesday was career day at the high school. I walked into that physics lab, wearing my Flightline jacket and carrying a simple tether ball on a string. Mr. Henderson was standing by his whiteboard, looking real academic. I didn't call him out. I just started spinning the ball in a circle. I said, "Now, why does this ball stay in a circle instead of flying into the back of the room?" The class shouted, "The string!" I nodded and looked right at Mr. Henderson. Exactly. Gravity is that string. Astronauts aren't weightless because gravity is gone. They're just in a constant state of falling, but they're moving sideways so fast that they keep missing the Earth. I pulled up a live NASA tracker on the big screen. I showed them that at the ISS's altitude, gravity is still about 90% as strong as it is right here in this classroom. Mr. Henderson's face turned a shade of red. That was definitely not on the color wheel. He cleared his throat and said, "Well, that's a very technical distinction. For the sake of the midterm, we define the space environment as 0G. I just smiled, handed the tetherball to Noah, and said, "You can call it whatever you want for the test, but if I built satellites based on your definition, they'd all be lost in deep space by lunch." Noah got a B on his quiz for overcomplicating the answers. But that night, he was in the backyard with his telescope, finally understanding why the moon stayed put. Out through a soft, knowing chuckle. Sometimes, the truth is a little heavier than the lesson plan.